Good morning, guys. I'm apparently having computer problems this morning because I don't know where my memory leak is, but I have a memory leak somewhere. So hang on real quick while I try to figure out what my memory leak is, because that's an issue, as usual with this morning. This has not been a good morning for me. Everything seems to be just about 10 minutes behind. Okay, what are we hitting here? It's sysmain. Great, system's the one that's my memory leak. Good morning, everybody. I'll do what I can to try to get this work done today, but welcome to my show. Today we're going to do a little bit of... Oh, hey, we're missing a light, like you. Can I turn that light up? Yeah, I can. There we go. Okay, what do we got here? Looks like everything's calming down. I did have Photoshop open earlier, and Photoshop is such a hog. Ah, it's Origin. That's what's killing me here. There we go. That'll help me. It'll give me back my GPU. All right, there we go. I think we're getting back to normal. Woo, doggy. That was rough. Okay, so today we're going to, I'm going to actually do a little bit of help here for a buddy of mine. We're going to work a little bit on how to operate Clip Studio Paint. So that's going to be our thing today. We're going to kind of do a Basics 101 on Clip Studio Paint. But first, because we're artists and artists need to do this, let's go on ahead and head over to the desk. Let's head to the May line, and let's talk about excuse me, practicing. Let's talk about sneezing. We've got a lot of wildfires going on here in Colorado, and seasons changing and things like that. So we have issues. Also, Attack Cat is attacking, so he has all kinds of interesting things going on for him. So, okay, art is always a skill, and I believe firmly in art being a skill. So we have to keep our skills good and solid, and so we should warm up every day. So we're going to do that. I'm just going to take a normal ruler here and a normal pencil, just a normal, any old pencil. I'm going to draw myself a couple of short lines, like this. And I'm going to draw a couple of long lines, right up here. We've done this every morning for a while now. And those of you who've been on the show for a while, you'll recognize what I'm up to here. Then I'm going to take my circle template, because I like this. This is an engineering template. And I go to engineering stores all the time, and they look at me like I'm an alien, because I love these templates. I'm going to draw myself a couple of small hemispheres. I guess they could be called hemicircles. We're going to do that. I'm actually going to bring the microphone over here so you can hear me better. And you could probably hear my cat attacking things too. Okay, so I've got a couple of short lines, a couple of long lines, and a couple of hemicircles. This is a new word. This is like, you know that fire trucks are built on buses, bus frames, so I've decided I'm going to call them fire buses from now on. Fire bus! Okay. What we're going to do here, we're going to warm up. I'm going to take... This is just a normal 0.4 fine liner. That's all it is. It's just a fine liner. You can use any fine liner. If you don't have a fine liner, you can use a ballpoint pen. That's fine. But ballpoint pens have a different consistency and feel when they roll across the paper, so I prefer fine liners. So what we're going to do is lift our elbow off the table, lift our shoulder, lock at the shoulder, and we're going to draw from the shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, for crying out loud. 6, 7, 8. My apologies for my kitten who has decided that my show is the right time to be in here to be a problem. 1, 2, 3. This is practice, so don't worry if you're getting out of this line. We're just warming up. We're getting our arm warmed up, we're getting our hand warmed up, and that's all we're doing here. There's 8. I'm going to do the same thing with this long line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Same thing with this line. 1. Try not to drag your pinky. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hemispheres, hemicircles. I have the same problem every time right here. I find that fascinating. 1, 2. There I'm overcompensating. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, try not to drag your pinky, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the last one, again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, last one, 8, and I feel like I've gotten in really tight there. We're good. All right. Oh boy, here we go. See? Fire bus. Fire bus. It's a thing. Yeah, what do you do when your ruler shifts to a different state? Like, what, Kansas? I mean, what state are you referring to? Hello, Jared. Hello, Donald. And hello, Luna. Welcome to the show. Oh, man. So, yeah, actually, this is my new thing here, as I'm trying desperately to warm up every day before I get into drawing. I think that's a good one, and I've been trying to get back to the basics and sort of work with the basics there. Just getting a line going and, being able to draw from your shoulder and not from your elbow. And this is great, but it only gets this much detail. So if we sit there all the time and do this, I'm noticing how much more control I get if I can just train my arm to move like this. I get a whole lot of movement across my monitor. Let's switch to the monitor. So we'll go on ahead and do that. Okay. I'm going to go on ahead and actually, I can't actually pull out my overlay, can I? Yeah, I can. I can pull out my overlay. There we go. So looking at just the controls here, a friend of mine had asked if I could kind of walk them through Clip Studio on this one. So it does kind of look like the Conehead symbol. And yes, my kitten thinks I'm talking to him. I think he also feels like, since I'm in here, he ought to be in here to keep me company. But his way of keeping me company is to trash the room. And that's not cool. I'm just saying. I mean, I would notice if it was cool. I'm just, it's not cool. Okay, so I'm here with my basics on... Don't tell me my monitor's dead. Today is not the day, guys. Today is the day. Okay. Oh, boy, I'm having a Monday. I am definitely having a Monday. I gotta reboot my monitor. Hang on, guys. It's actually right here on your desktop, guy. For rebooting the monitor. Just figure where I put it. There it is. The tablet seems to think that that's the screen that's supposed to be on. Do I have control? I don't. Yeah, luckily I have a secondary pin, so maybe this one's out of charge. I'll put that one on charger. Nope, still don't have. Now let's see if I've got control. Normally I would say this is about the time when I'm like, well, there we go. Got control of the monitor again. All right. So, one of the things that we want to kind of get to is just basics Clip Studio. A lot of times we start this process, and we don't know how to use the program. I'm going to clean my monitor here real quick. Thing about these monitors is that they accumulate dust. Boy, do they accumulate dust. And right now, Colorado has a lot of dust. Okay. So, start with just your basics. We'll create a new document. Okay. I always do 11 by 17 at 300 dpi. That's a good comic book sized page. That's your average comic book sized page. Clip Studio Paint is a Japanese program, so it has a lot of options that go with, like the various. Hey, Brent, good to see you, man. You've got a lot of options for paper sizes that are not American sizes, which is totally fine. This would be an A3 size in Japanese sizes, or actually overseas sizes, because I guess really it's just like everything. America is the one that's the holdout. So I'm going to make an 11 by 17. We're talking about the cone heads in the chat room over here. All the little things made me smile, the shapes and play on humor. I love the cone heads. It was a good movie. Okay. So now we have just a blank piece of paper. This is your pen set right over here, right? And this is where you just draw with pen or whatever. I was using blue last time. And you can set all of your properties for the pen here. Stabilization is one thing I really like. It keeps the line stable and smooth. And when you turn it off, you end up kind of wobbling back and forth a little bit, like that. And so stabilization helps there. Undo. One of the things that I think that we were talking about, or that I was talking to my buddy about, and we were kind of going into, is using over here these tools that you probably already have out. And I've compressed them because I don't actually use them for my comics very much. And you've got all of these different options for manga materials and things like that, and various functions. The framing templates, by the way, are all designed right. Nothing wrong with being the last person to do something. I'm always the last person to do things. These framing templates are designed specifically for comics to work on, and it's kind of cool because I like the framing templates and they are neat, but they are confusing. And what's happened is, if you look over here on this side of on the right side to the bottom, you can see that each one of these framing templates is now a different layer. And that's actually extraordinarily useful, but it is confusing. So we'll start here. I don't know why frame 1 is frame 3. because it seems to be going from the bottom to the top. I don't know what that's about. I mean, I'd understand because manga would be read from this panel to this panel to this panel to this panel, whereas American comics are read from this panel to this panel to this panel to this panel. So I can see if this was one, but I don't understand. Once you've clicked on this layer, inside this zone here, you're going to have to make a new layer, either a raster layer or a vector layer. The raster layers, for those of you who are not familiar with raster versus vector, rasterized stuff is pretty much bitmaps, right? So if I do raster, and I'm in this raster layer here, and I start drawing in my comic, you'll notice that I can go outside of this any way I want, and it's totally fine. But if you zoom in on this, work, and we zoom all the way in, you can see that what we have here is individual pixels. And that's a rasterization. Okay? You're going to get the same thing with a vector layer, but we're going to have a new function with that here. So we'll put a vector layer in here too. And this is where this program really shines. Right now we're going to put in a vector line like this, right? That's our vector line. You know what? Let's make it a different color, just so it makes it easy to see. I'm going to put in this red line. That's a vector line. And the way that you can tell is we'll go into the vector property tools, which is this guy right here at the bottom, bork, and you'll see that now it has actual like points on it. And we can maneuver the points. Rastafarian. Right? We can move now the line any way we want. And this is where Clip Studio is powerful. More importantly, I can simplify this line like this. Right? So like whenever it's, too complicated, now it's got fewer points. Easier to control and manipulate. No more do we have 4,000 points. Right? So now it's easy to control and maneuver this around and really do some interesting things with it. We can do other things with this too from over here on this control panel that's part of our dot with a arrow at the dot. We can connect lines. We can simplify it, we can adjust it. But then when you go to the eraser tool, which is this guy right here, we have the ability to put a vector eraser on. And this is where it's really cool too, because let's say I cross the lines like this, right? I've got them crossing, and I really want this to be a V, not an X, right? I can take this vector eraser and just there. It's set for the properties down here in the vector eraser, it's set to erase up to an intersection. So it's only going, yeah, this is totally abstract art. Look at me being abstract. I hate abstract. I have stories to tell you about Abstract Art Day. Me in college doing abstract art. I swear, I don't get it. Anyway, but the thing is that right now we look at this and we've got two different lines, right? We have this guy over here and this guy over here. It's two separate lines. But let's say I want them to be the same line, right? Then I just make sure that they're connected like this. And then I go connect vector line. Work. Right? Now when we look at it with the control points, it's just one line. Right? Now we've tied them together. And there's that little V point. The square indicates that it doesn't have a curve set to it. This has a curve. These circles mean that they've got a curve. So it'll curve every time. But these points will always aim into a point. That's how you pinch. That's what pinch vector line means. Right? If we take the pinch the vector line here and do, why didn't it, oh yeah, because you need to draw it. It'll add that point, which we were talking about here, where, oh, it didn't. Okay, well maybe I don't understand pinch very well. That's okay. Can't know everything on these programs. So, now we've got this total abstract art inside here. But you can see over here to the right, in frame 3, we've added now these two layers. And we can add as many layers as we want into frame 3. And we can even delete frame 3 if we want, right? we could just hide frame 3 here and bring frame 3 back. And now we have abstract art. So, I don't like this, let's say. I'm going to just delete it, right? I'm going to take this one and delete that one too. So, hang on real quick. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Somebody we know is not doing his schoolwork, and I won't name any names. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to close this pane up right here. Work like that. You actually can close it by this little arrow right there, and that just minimizes it, right? And we'll get back to that in a second. But first, we'll start with frame 3. And we'll add a layer. Let's add a raster layer. Let's add a raster layer. Okay. The best part about this is I can take pencil, go to blue, like this, and I'm going to just blue line in something. Okay, we got a person right here. We're going to have another person right here talking to them, right? And so I can, kind of rough sketch this in. I don't know, I'm just looking kind of like this here, right? And we'll just kind of rough in a face here, and then like this person's face, so they kind of, I don't know, like this, and then we'll do this, and then this, and we're just roughing it in. I'm having performance problems with my computer at this point. I'm not sure what's going on, but everything's running really slow. And I think we've got Origin still running, because now that's what I get. I tried to play Sims 4, and the Origin loader has just hogged everything for like 3 days. It's really aggravating. Okay, looks like the GPU is actually doing fine. So, okay, so I'll draw in here, and that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just drawing in my rough, right? I'll just slow down here a little, and that'll help. Right, let's say we got this individual right here. I'm just going to make this really rough, right? And we're in here on this layer, and this is our rough layer, okay? Usually, for those of you who've been with me through the shows, you know that I tend to make a couple of roughs, different colors, so that we can kind of come in a little bit better like this, right? And just straighten out the, right? And then John, Marcia, right? And we can kind of do we're just roughing this in here. And I'm hedging in here. Oh, the music got all like super dramatic too for this too. John, Marcia. There we go. Now we've done that, we can go back in. I can add a new layer and add a vector layer, right, on top of this layer. And you see I've added it into this frame. And I'm going to just bring it into black here. And I'm going to draw in, not with pencil. That's wrong, guy. Take my G pen, and I'm just going to draw it in, right? Aw, come on, really? So we're going to then just draw this in. Right? There we go. I'm doing this very fast, guys. And then, add his face in here, right? And we've done that, and everything's on here, and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so now we can get rid of our blue line underneath it, and all we've got is just the ink, right? Okay, the thing about vector layers is you cannot fill. The fill tool won't work, right? And that's one of the things that we need to remember here. So there's a step involved here, and I'll show you that step here in a second. But first, let's talk about our vector lines, right? We've got all of these now as separate vector lines, which is really cool. But before I fill, I want to make sure I don't have any gaps, right? Because filling with any kind of tool like this is a pain in the butt if the gap is open. So I'm going to just take some of these lines here and I'm going to close them up so that they're sealed, right? Everything is sealed up. There's no gaps anywhere because I'm going to be filling her hair black, right? So, again, we are really fast here. But let's also say that, I really wanted her hair to be blowing. Blowing sounds good, right? Like, ooh, right? So we're going to just take a simplify vector line. I'm going to simplify that line. I'm going to simplify that line and simplify that. That way, when I get over here, it's easy to just take her hair and go faloosh, like that, right? That's the noise hair makes whenever it goes floo, 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 floo. Right? And take and bend this around so that it's sealed. Make sure it's sealed. Right? We're going to make it wavy too. Like, make it a little wavy like this. So if you click in the middle of a line right here, like right here, you'll add a point. Oh, that actually looks kind of cool. I'm going to leave it like that. Right? Flip, 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 flip. There we go. Look at me adding flippy lines. Her hair's all fluffy all over the place. Fluff, 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 fluff. It makes that noise. That's the noise it makes. But I'm noticing that these aren't connected, right? So here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to crisscross across like that. I'm going to take my vector eraser and go whoop, and now it's going to do that. Then I'm going to take and go back into my tools here, connect the vector line like that. Now they're connected, and you can see that they're actually connected now. Right? Which is going to make it a whole lot easier whenever I'm ready to do something with it. But look, it's made a mess out of that line. Ha 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 ha. Okay. Hair flows in sort of this way. Okay, John, Marcia, I'm leaving you, John, because of, I don't know, you don't like pineapple on your pizza. And that's it. I've had it with you and your pineapple on pizza thing, and that's an issue. And we can't be together. And so John over here is having issues, right? Because, today is training day. Add a streak of dyed hair. You got it, man. You got it. Yes, today is training day. So a friend of mine wanted me to, was having problems with Clip Studio Paint. And so I was like, I'll just give a brief tutorial on how to use it. So now we've got just our line in here. Okay, that's cool, but I was saying before, you can't fill anything. So how do I make her clothes, blue, and how do I make her hair orange? Work here, man. Right? So what we're going to do is over here on our layer, I'm going to right mouse click on it, and I'm going to say rasterize. Now this has turned it from being, there's no points anymore. See, all the points are gone. But now I have the ability to fill her hair black, right? And I can switch to red and fill the entire thing red. Okay, real quickly, one more thing to say here. Make sure when you seal this that you seal the entire thing like that. So you need to go underneath there because that's obviously going to be an issue, right? And we'll pick some skin tone here. Whatever is our skin tone? Like that. That looks good, right? And we'll make him slightly darker. Oh no, we forgot, right? Again, we want to make sure that we've sealed up Work, right? And now we can make the background any color we want, which will naturally be obnoxious green, right? And now we have a panel. And it's independent completely of any other panel on here. And even though, if you look over here on our preview window, you can see that it has filled the entire page with green. I don't care. Because the truth of the matter is, it doesn't show anything outside of that view. And one of the other things we can do is we can move things inside the panel. So if we really want to adjust it, we can do that as well. But you can also move the panel, right? If you select the frame, you can actually move the entire panel. So let's say you want it to be slightly overlapping, like this. Then you just move it on top of frame 4. Uh-oh, not into frame 4. Uh-oh. So you've got to make sure you're there. See how it turned the red line there? Instead of putting it like this guy here inside. If it's red all the way around it like that, you're going to move it into the frame. You don't want that. If you move it here where the red line is between the two, then it'll move it between the two frames. But now, this frame can be moved on top like this. So if we want it to overlap a little bit, it can. We also can change the size of this frame at this point in time if we wanted. Right? So this tool is how to change scale, rotate. We can rotate the frame so it's slightly askew. That's always useful if you're trying to make something where people are uncomfortable. The way to make your reader uncomfortable is to skew the frame. And it always makes your reader slightly uncomfortable. Like there's something wrong here. Something's wrong with this one frame. And you hit OK, and it settles it in. So, there we go. And so that's basically how we use this. Clip Studio Paint is an extraordinarily powerful tool. The only thing where Clip Studio Paint is weak is in text. And that's where Clip Studio Paint really doesn't do so well. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's a Japanese program. So, being a Japanese program, it does really well as long as you're writing in Japanese. But here is where we have our balloon tool. The balloon tool will take the colors from your palette. So you want to make sure that this top color, man, my palette's over here on the other screen. Okay, you want to make sure you selected the outside color to be black, like that, and then the inside color to be white. And you can see here, here's your rounded balloon, right? And then we make sure we're in this layer right here, right? And that'll be inside the frame, no matter what. We'll go down here. Some other things you want to make sure you have is roundness of corners or brush size or things like that. The brush size is going to thicken up what the outside of the balloon looks like, right? So this balloon is thinner than this balloon and stuff like that. So that's how that works. I'm actually going to delete that for right now. I usually do a 25 around the outside corner of the balloons, right? And that looks relatively reasonable. The other thing that's in here is the tail. This is called a balloon tail, right? Balloon tails are hard to get right here. Because they kind of do that. And you want the width of the tail to be longer or wider than that, like that. And then you can do a polyline on it, right? And this allows us to bend like this. There we go. Let's do this. right? But under this same principle, it's a vector. So it has vector control points. So you don't like it, that's fine, we can change it. We can change it. It's no problem, bro. We got this. Right? And we can even bend it in here by using the same controls that we used for our vectors that we had used before for vector control. We can simplify it. It's already simple, so you can't really simplify it anymore. That's alright. It's a thing. Now, this is a polyline, which means that it has no steering control, if you will. And what I'll do here is we'll delete this balloon and we'll start all over again. And I'll show you. We take a rounded balloon, we go like this, and then we go in here to the tail. And instead of a polyline, I'm going to say spline. Now, these are all terms that we all used in like Adobe Illustrator and stuff like that. So now we're going to do this again, but this time I'm going to make this a spline, so it's bending like that, right? And now it's a spline. When I go into the steering controls, like I did before here, now I can control it like a real balloon. And if you're the kind of person who makes thought balloons with a bow like this, which there are a lot of comic artists who do that, like I'm talking about like comic strip artists, they put this bow in it. You can actually control the spline to make that bow appear. So you've got that very comic booky bow on the point here. Just controlling it in because I actually don't bow my my lines, so this is kind of new to me. I'm like, oh, we'll bow it, I guess, because I don't bow my lines, so that's okay. Some comic artists do. Then we go into the text. I actually have, oh yeah, that's what we should do. We'll put it in Tamabeshi. Okay. We say, hi there. This is a test. Right? With this, then you can justify it, organize it, turn on anti-aliasing. Anti-aliasing. Aliasing is, what that really means is, it's the jaggedness of the lines. So, if it's really aliased, that means that it's absolutely black and absolutely white, and there's no gray in the middle at all, right? So if you look, we have anti-aliasing on, which means that at this point here, if we're right here and we look really close, you see it's not black and white. It's gray. It's got little gray lines in between them. If we turn off anti-aliasing, then you can see the lines become absolutely jagged, right? You can see the difference right here. So that's the difference between anti-aliasing. For the most part, we leave anti-aliasing on. Right? And then we can take, the bubble now moves independently. It has text in it, so the text exists inside this bubble. If you want to move the text, that's too bad. I'm joking. All you need to do is just take your text tool and move it to the blue line on the edge, and you can move it anywhere. There. John, Marcia. John, Marcia. That's an old joke. So there you go. That's essentially what we've got going on here. Now we're going to move to the next frame, and we'll continue. Well, the next frame actually is this guy, right? So we'll go here and we'll do the same thing. Just watch the process here, okay? We're going to go up here to the hamburger. We're going to add a new raster layer. Set it for blue. Go to pencil and do this. right? Let's say he's got his hands and his head here. Right? Oh no! Why would you leave me, Marcia? I would learn to like pineapple on my pizza, I promise. Right? He's sad. I'm crying here. Right? As Marcia walks away. No, not unless you like pineapple on pizza. Right? Have her walking away like this. Whoa, yeah, man, walking away. Like that. Okay. Right, so we've roughed in that thing. We'll put in the new layer, new vector layer for this guy. Make sure that you're still in the frame, because you don't want to pop out of this frame here and be on this frame. It won't help you. So make sure you're still in the same frame. We'll switch to black, right? Switch to pen. Make him go boo-hoo, right? He's so sad. But I like pepperoni without pineapple, and maybe I even eat with some jalapenos on it and stuff, and now you're all making me sad. Now I'm actually kind of hungry. I don't know what to do about that. Okay, I'm going to use the vector eraser to get rid of some of the stuff here. We got like a lot of mess going on here. Hey, make him boo-hoo-hoo. There we go. This is one of those things, man. Don't take my jalapenos off my pizza. I loves it. That's good. Okay. Then she's off and stomping away. Woof, 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 woof. So there. There we go. Like I said, I'm making this easy and fast. Black olives. Black olives rock. I'm just saying black olives are awesome. Right? So, now we were like, okay, we'll go back through and we'll do the check on the control points. Make sure everything is sealed up, like that isn't right there, right? It's okay to cross over like this, because we can always kill that with a vector eraser. You want to make sure that everything is sealed. It matters if he's... I guess he's not wearing a shirt. I always not wearing... That's the other reason she's leaving you, is you don't wear shirts. Sealed up. Okay, all's good. If we need to simplify the lines, we can. If we don't, you get the idea. So, then we're going to take what we did before, and we're going to right mouse click over here on the layer, and we're going to say rasterize. And that's turning it away from being something I can use with my control points, because I can't control point anymore, but now I can fill, right? Unless you select the wrong layer. Now I can fill, right? And here's another thing. If you're using a pen, you can right mouse click and select the color. That's very useful, right? Just got a red dress. Your problem, Bob, is you don't wear, John, you don't wear a shirt. That's your problem, right? Your problem right there is you're not wearing a shirt. Right? Well, let's let it fill the whole layer, because what difference does it make? It's got to think a lot, though, for it. In fact, it's got to think so much, it's actually like, I don't know what to do. Oh, because it's white. Here, let's make this blue. Right? There. Now we can take the blue line and delete it. Okay? So now we've done 2 frames. the ability to move these frames around. And now I'm actually kind of like looking at this going, oh man, I don't know. This frame's probably like not quite like I want it to be. I'm gonna rotate this frame a little, like more like that. There we go, much better, right? Because that's, and I'm gonna actually take it off the screen even. I'm so annoyed with it. There we go, off the screen. There, boy, am I classy or what? I'm a classy comic artist. There we go. So, now when we look at the page as a whole, when we're not actually looking at like all of those, this is what it pretty much looks like, right? And this frame here is highlighted, but I can highlight the paper and de-highlight that frame. So, actually, it's staying highlighted because it's a pest. There you go. So what it's doing is it's turning on rulers. There's rulers on each one of these. That's what the purple is, right? He's in a bodysuit. Oh gosh, guys. Oh man. Okay, well, you know, he could be. I don't judge. I don't judge. I wear a shirt, but he doesn't have to. John can be that way. I don't judge. I'm judging. I'm secretly inside, I'm judging. We all know it. I can't lie. Okay. So, show only when editing target. So that's going to turn off those whenever I'm down here. I wish I hadn't turned on all of those now. Because you can't turn them off. Okay. So now you kind of see how I've gotten to here. I've shown you how to put in text bubbles, things like that. Painting is a little different in Clip Studio Paint. It's a lot more complicated to kind of do painting or full-fledged illustrations. So I'm going to try a little bit here. We're going to do another full-fledged illustration. This is a straight up. Okay, so this is the way I usually operate in Clip Studio Paint, is without the frames, right? But, so we go in here, and I'm just going to take my pen, right? And I'm just going to, I don't know what I want to draw. I want to draw something. And, you know, I don't know. There's things to think about. I don't know. Let's just do a stick figure, right? Here is our drawing. Aren't you proud of it? So, this is a rasterized drawing. You can see, because we've got no control points. When I switch to my control point spot, there's no control points here. There's nothing I can control. So it always starts by default with a raster layer. A Rastafarian is what it starts with. It's always with a Rastafarian. But they're not the easiest to manipulate. There's just so many jokes here. I'm really having a problem with the jokes. Okay, so when you do a full up illustration, it doesn't have any of the restrictions to the layers. It hasn't blocked out the other layers. But this is actually what I do all the time with a full up. So, I'm actually kind of wondering if maybe I can't just load up one of my old illustrations. I got that. No. Oh, we were working on this light study. Remember we were working on the light study last week? Let's talk about the light study. Right? The light study is great because this is a great example of using the various painting tools, right? And we were talking about our light study and everything like that. We have this great ability to do painting tools, right? If you look at just the paint here, I've been painting underneath my line work, so I'm now on the next step, which is using the painting tools. So let's talk a little bit about this. I can take this line, the line work here, and bring it down to there, and then start working in on this. There's only a handful of these. Yeah, last week's Thursday. That's right. That's right. Last week Thursday. I remember now. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to trace in the eyes like this. Right? The thing about us as human beings, we are drawn to eyes. So we always spend the most time as artists drawing eyes. That's the first place you look at a picture, and it's the place you have like mistakes. It's the first thing people will do is look at the eyes. Right? That's where we're going to go. Now her mouth also. Right, let's put in the nostrils here. And now, with this, we're going to actually look at the guides here. And what we've got now is actually, you can see her looking at us through the paint. This was a rough, and it was a very, very rough picture, and it's still pretty rough. I would actually probably redo stuff here at this point in time, but you know what? This was a study. It wasn't intended to be an actual picture, so we do what we can, right? There we go. Do a couple of little minor things. The sclera of the eyes is always just a little blue, right? So I'm going to go back in here to my paintbrushes, right? We have a number of like really wild paintbrushes in here we can work with. But the truth is, I'm just going to use Basic Bob. Good old Basic Bob. Right? He works really well for this. Right, and Basic Bob just lays down a very basic blue. I'm just putting in just kind of a little bit of a blue in here, with more blue on the middle part of the eyeball, the sclera. It's important to know your anatomy if you're talking to one another. I'm painting the white thingy in your eyeball. Which white thingy? There's a lot of white thingies. Yeah. We'll make sure we go back over this and just... Oops. That was sloppy. Just make sure everything's cleaned up here. Right. Make sure that sclera doesn't get into this. Okay. Now with our brushes here, I was just using that Basic Bob. I like the acrylics too. They're very good. I'm going to bring that brush size down. You can see on the screen here, it's showing me what the brush will look like when it's on there. But I'm going to be coming up here and working up there, like that area right there. This is where it's very useful to have that right mouse click touch. Ooh, that's not a good one. That is not a good one. We need a wet brush for this. There we go. I'm just going to go through here and do that. Right. We're just going to go in here and we're just touching up this line so it's very sharp. Like that. And all we're doing here is just adding light to this side of the face. Right. And then I'm going to use this tool here. This is the Smudge Tool to smudge it all in, right? Because even though this is sharp, and it should be sharpish like this. Ooh, I think I messed it up there. Wonderful thing about undo, guys. I'm going to go like with this and just kind of take that in like that, right? It still looks nice and smooth, looks fine, everything's good. This is such a rough painting, guys. I'm so sorry. And we'll go over here and do the same thing on this side. Right, we're just darkening in this side so it all matches in. And I'm just going to keep going in like this and moving in. And then I'm going to come back out here and I'm just going to do like that. I'm going to go ahead and just do that. There we go. The anatomy's rough. Everything is really rough in this picture, and I'm very sorry. But it works well for this job. It's doing this job just fine. I appreciate your vote of confidence. Thank you very much. Actually, not fishing for compliments here. I know that part of this is that this is going to be a good example of how to use Clip Studio, and I kind of feel bad that I have rough anatomy on this. That's okay. I'm just going to go in here with the brush that I picked and just square out stuff, right? I'm going to square out the bodies here. There we go. I'm just going to clean up this roughness here. There we go, just like that. There we go. We're just kind of doing this here. And all we're doing was just kind of around the edges here where we had line work up here that helped us a lot, right? So the line work told us where everything was, and I can actually see we are way over this line here like this, so I can go back through like that and just clean it up, right? Use the eraser for it. There we go. There. Now, of course, in real life, we don't have lines. This was a light study where I was studying the light over the side of our body here, because I thought it was cool. The original picture that we had the girl was standing where the light was coming over her right shoulder like this, so it was illuminating this side and then just kind of a little bit to the front on this right side. And I thought it was such a cool thing that I just mimicked the study completely, right? So that's what we're doing here. It's just mimicking that study. I'm going to come up here like this and just rough this around. Alright, rough this around a little like that too. This sports bra. Okay, and we're going to there we go. Excellent. Yeah, she just totally lost like 2 pounds right there. All of it in excess line. Is that going to be a new quote for us, guys? Is that what we're going to start saying now? Hey, lost 3 pounds in excess line. It's going to be our thing. Okay. Coming under here, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, make sure that that's cleaned up, and clean that up right around there. This is a completely unrealistic way of folding the body, but I wanted to show the fold, so there you go. Just getting rid of some of this stuff here. There we go. Much better. And now we can actually kind of see where things were headed on this. We've got some nice shape going for it now. Right, so if we were to come along here and just put this in, that's an eraser, guys, with the brush. Right, and just put this like through here as sort of a highlight of this area. Then we can come back in with the blending brush and blend that in like this. It doesn't look as good until we add a background to this that pretty much washes this out, right? So if we were to put a red background here, if we were to not put the red background because it actually didn't add the thing, then we would have an issue, wouldn't we now? New raster layer. We'll be able to see behind her now, right? And sometimes I'll put like just a standard color behind just to see what's going on. In this instance, it's probably too bright and it's going to actually hurt our eyes and we're going to hate life. So we'll do that. Her neck has a horseshoe-like light on it. Yeah, remember we were talking about, I don't know if you were here Thursday or not, Donald. The original drawing, the light source is right here. So we had this like light source that was right here. I'm just going to get rid of this guy. Apparently I'm going to do really badly is what I'm going to do. So the original light source was like right here. And so it's coming in like this, right? So that being the case, I know I've got a highlight here and a highlight here, and there's going to be a shadow from her hair. It's going to come across here, it's going to highlight the breast, and that's where we're going to be, is through that zone right there. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that, right? Let's bring this back down. Maybe not that small. We're going to have like this highlight through this zone right here, where it's going to be really bright. Right through here. When we talk about like highlighting and light study and stuff like that, this is going to be a bounce. So we're going to want to use this same blue on her face up there, because we look at the light has hit this blue piece of her bra and is bouncing back into her face, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce some of that blue right here, right? We just introduce that blue and then blend it into her face, and now we've got bounce coming up from here. It's added this bounce, and that's going to look great, right? Because it looks like this is a little bit of blue. The thing about human faces, your phone died Thursday, that sucks. The thing about human faces is we've got different zones, which are different colors. And this area right here generally tends to be more blue. This area right here tends to be more blue, and these areas tend to be more red. So for her, we're going to add a little bit of pink in over here, right, like here, right? That's where we want to add that pink in. We're going to just add just a touch of pink right through here, right? And it's depending on, whether she's blushing or not. She's probably not blushing. But I'm just going to scribble like this. Then I'm going to take the blend tool and just blend it in. Right? We're just going to blend it right in. Work it right into the picture right here. Just like this. Right? And we're just adding just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit to indicate that this area here is red. Right through here, and especially it's darker right there, right? We're going to take the blend tool and then just blend that right back out. That blends it in, and there we go. And this will lend to this area right here, which is always going to be a little bit redder than the rest of our face and stuff like that. It's actually what blush when women put on blush makeup, that's what they're really after. I'm going to take the same thing, and we're actually going to do the other parts here, which is right up here is some blue, right? And there's blue right here, and there's blue right here. And then we're going to just blend that in. Blend that in. Alright, we're going to blend all of this in right through here. Alright. Right. We got a little bit of blue going all along the top part. And it really has everything to do with blood flow. We have very little blood flow right through this section of our brow, and very little blood flow through this section of our mouth. We've got a lot of blood flow up here in these cheeks, which are all fluffy and spooshy, and you can do all kinds of stuff like that. Right. The other thing we're not seeing in here is eyeshadow. There's very little blood flow in our eyelids because it's a cold area, and so it ends up being bluer. And so I'll just add a little bit of blue in this. No, not spray. Add a little bit of blue right through here, and a little bit of blue through here too. And then we're just going to blend that on in. Blend it in. A little bit of blue coming in through here. Whoa, got a little shadowy because I picked up some of her eyebrow by accident. So, great thing about these programs is I just undo until it's all gone. There we go. Then we zoom in. Let's zoom in because it looks like it's a little too tight in here. I'm gonna bring that brush down. I might just do this. It's just a little tight, and that's all. There we go. It's not perfect, but you can kind of see where things are going here. If I had more time, I'd do a little bit more on this, but it's not worth it. This is a light study. So, blend that on in, and all we're doing is just adding variety to this. Right? Because our faces are not perfect. There we go. Okay, now we'll go in here and work on the trapezes. That's the name of these muscle groups through here. And the trapezes. That's this guy. These are the latissimus. The lats, the traps. They're in the front. So we're going to move through here. We're just going to smooth this out. Just smoothing it all out. Right, like that. These are called sternomaxoids. Maxoids. Yeah. Right? Actually, that's one of the things that fascinates me is watching women put on makeup, because we've got seriously thousands of generations of people who have instinctually figured out how to accentuate and highlight the features that are already there in our faces. My mom was very blonde, so she had to wear makeup to make her face exist, is what she used to say. But it was fascinating watching her get ready with the makeup, because I could watch how she naturally did things to accentuate parts of her face that are by nature very, we do this by nature. We highlight the areas that are already existing. And I have to thank all of my female friends, because I had a bunch of female friends in junior high and high school who were extraordinarily tolerant of me watching them put their makeup on. I just thought, wow, this is very fascinating. And I'm sure that was somewhat potentially unnerving. I'm not sure. But either way, I hope they understand that I appreciate it greatly now as an adult. It's been very, very useful to have that skill. Okay, so I'm just putting her ears back in because we wiped out her ears somehow. So I'm just going to put those back in. There we go. Oh, I love watching Chelsea put on makeup, but she knows it. Yes, when Chelsea puts on makeup, I sit there and I'm always just mesmerized. Because she does something between normal makeup and stage makeup. Whenever she does stage makeup, that's also cool because stage makeup is designed specifically to highlight your eyes and to bring them out so that people can see them from far away and stuff like that. Chelsea's a lot of fun. Chelsea's the best. Super tolerant. She puts up with... I'm not EA Games, so as long as I'm not Ubisoft or EA Games, Chelsea is more than willing to oblige me letting me watch her put makeup on. But man, cross that line, become Ubisoft, and that's it for you, man. You are persona non grata, right? Because Chelsea is Chelsea. For those of you who are watching at home, Chelsea is my co-host on Rocky Mountain Geek Tank. I guess it's a vlog now because it's not really a podcast so much as a vlog, but it's our weekly show that are on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, which means those of you in Japan and Australia can actually watch it because it'd be in the middle of the day, I think, for you guys on Friday. But there you go. Aw, lunch is over. Brent, you had lunch early. See you later, though. It was good to see you. Donald, you're saying you had no sisters and you lost your mom when you were 8. So, yeah, right? That's the thing, is I've got a niece too, and she tolerates me watching her put makeup on. I say tolerate because I know they're like, you're really strange, but that's okay because it's, it's not creepy, it's just there. So, but how else are you going to learn? You've got to learn this stuff, and there's a lot going on here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I've taken the brown from the hair, and I'm just putting it right here. This is a light study, so we want to make sure we've got the light clearly defined here, and that's what we're doing right here. There's a shadow, it's going to be across her eyes right here, right? And this is from the hair, coming in from the hair. Right, so we're going to go in here, and we're just smoothing this out. Go in there and bring the brush size down. Bring the brush size down, guys. Right, because we're going to have to get in here close to this eyebrow again. We're going to just... we need more brush than that. Let's try 5. It's okay, man. You don't have to watch Geek Tank. It's all good. You just miss all the jokes with Chelsea. That's all. But Chelsea's here sometimes. Sometimes Chelsea drops in on my show and makes snarky comments, as Chelsea is wont to do. Because Chelsea is Chelsea. So, sometimes Troy is here too. It's not always, but sometimes. So this is picking up the eyes. If this was more of a serious and I had more time for this, I would put the eyes in a different layer. Right? So now we know we've got this dark line here from her hair. We want to see where this line contours out. So we're going to grab that line, that color, and I'm going to bring this brush down to about there. Because this line's going to actually kind of do this, right? It's going to come around her face. Her face is round. So when we have this line, part of the reason it looks weird is because it's not contoured to her face, right? We want this contoured more to her face, like this. Right? So now it's coming in, and we got to think about the contours. Where are the contours of the face? Right? So we're going to run down the side of the face like this. There we go. Like so. And that's fine. And then back here, we have to do the same thing. Right? Through here. And we're going to get bounced and reflected light through here. And I know that. I know I'm going to have bounced and reflected light. I need a bigger brush for that. Yeah, I like about that. A much more bounced and reflected light through this zone. Because no matter what, even in the darkest of dark, smooth that out a little. Even when you're in the darkest parts of this, when he did stage makeup, yeah. Okay, so I like the sharpness of this line, so I'm going to be very gentle about how I go in and do this. I'm just going to use pin flicks and flick, flick, flick like this. That's just going to give me just enough to soften out everything in here, but not enough to defeat this line. And when I get to this line, I'm going to just touch it barely. And I'm going to be a little more pressure there than anywhere else, because the light is hitting her face, and when it is, it's reflecting. So we're going to get kind of a bloom, is what they call it, a light bloom from the bounce right here. So right here is a good place to do just a little bit more pressure on the brush right there, and that gives us a light bloom. It just blooms out a little bit more there. Right? We're going to get kind of this bloom that's coming across that side of her face. Right? That's where the light hits. This is a light study, so we want to make sure we get our light right. Right? I think I'm funny. Okay. I'm going to come back down here and just work a little bit more on this part of her body. So there's always going to be an underside reflection here, but we don't have any contouring going on underneath this. So let's go ahead and put in some more contour towards the bottom, right? Need more brush. Right? So we're going to follow the contours here. We're just going in right here, and we're just going to put in the bottom of this. More breast than I usually put in on people. That's okay. That's how she was built. Nothing about that. So I don't care that I'm kind of messy here with my brush strokes. That's okay. I'm going to pick sort of the underside completely like this. And I'm just going to curve in. We're defining this figure here. Right? And we're going to go back in and we're going to smooth it all out. Okay, like that. We're going to smooth this all out. I'm using the Smudge Tool, and I'm just smoothing all of this out. There we go, just like that. There we go. Right? Now the next thing is, now that we've done this, there will be reflected light. It's going to bounce off of here, and it's going to hit the underside right here. So we're going to come back in with a lighter brush like this, and I'm just going to hit the bounce light like this, right? And this is just going to give some bounced light right here and right here. Every figure, and this is where it's important to learn things like form and things like that. Breasts are effectively like water balloons. We were talking, Luna and I were talking about the water balloons effect here. They're very much like that, and they operate in much that same way, but they're also round, right? So we want to make sure we define not just the top of the breast, but the bottom of the breast as well. Go back in here a little bit light, because we're going to have to come back through. And the other thing we're going to have to do here is define a line directly under here. We're going to take the darkest point here, and we're going to go as darker even, right? I'm going to zoom in here, dark. Okay? And take our brush, bring that down. Not to 1 though. 1's way too small. There we go. To there. And what we've got here is, this is where it's folded over, right here. Just there. That's it. And it's folded in. We're going to blend this in like this. We're just going to keep working this thing because it's folded right here. Where everything's folded over. So we want deep darkness right there. I'm going to work this in. We need a smaller brush. Good heavens. I'm always doing smaller brushes. I feel like I'm going smaller and smaller every time. Okay. And when you do the blend, you're going to blend this way out. Towards the shape. You're going to blend out like this to leave this line on the bottom side. So we're blending out. Blending out, blending out, just like that. And we're messing up over here. Right, same thing. Blend out, blend out. There we go. Nope. Why are you? Oh, because you're still set for vector brush. Yeah, let's do this. There we go. And that's how you make that look like a fold, like it's folded down on top of the band here, which it would be. She's crunched down, so it's gonna. The chest is going to fold down onto the band, which would be right through here, right? We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Hi, we're going to get very confused for a second there. We're going to fold out, blend out like this. This is what it looks like really up close. Blending outward like this. I think we're spending a lot of time on this. Okay, now I've got a dark spot here, a light spot here, a dark spot here. It looks kind of like it's, I don't know, something's really wrong with her boob. Boob problems again. So, we're going to have to go in here and figure this out. Right? Because it looks light and dark. It's this dark that's the problem. Bring up our brush size. And we're just going to blend this in. Right, because that's the problem. And you'll stay with the curve. Stay with the curve. There we go, just like that. Just like that. There. And even then, I still feel like this is too dark, and I would like to have more of that color over there. So I'm going to take the brush, I'm going to put that right like that. I'm going to blend in this color a little more like that, right? Should lighten that up a little. Lighten up. Right? There we go. This is how we use the blending tool. And really get that in there. There we go. So following the lighting study now, we have, I feel kind of like the underside is too bright, so I'm going to, now I back up out a little ways, and I can now see that my the underlighting here is way too bright. Makes this look shiny. It's not, it's just a bra. And so it's not shiny, so we want to make sure that that's worked in like that. So you still get the bounce and the reflection of the light, but we're not getting it too dramatic. Right, so there we go. We're still up here on the top part of our body. I'm going to kind of zoom back in over here and trim down across this design here. Come on there, like that. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Right, just like that. What I'm doing here is I had it roughed in. I'm just unroughing it. Right, like that, and we're good. Okay, now that's where we are with our light study. So we're looking at various types of design here. We've got way too much of a wasp waist. We've got, I don't know what's going on with her face, but that's okay. It's never going to be perfect right off the bat. I mean, it takes time for all that stuff to work in, and so it's totally cool. And in this instance, all I'm really trying to do is work on light and shadow, and so it doesn't really matter what it is. It probably could have been a bowl of fruit, and I would have still had the same results. So that's kind of where we're going with this. I feel like we're getting pretty good here. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if I have the original painting that I was working off of or not. Still loaded in here. No. Yeah, it looks like none of those are the ones that we were doing. Anyway. Okay, well that's pretty much where I was going to head today on Clip Studio Paint 101. Kind of trying to get through the pieces parts of it and try to get us to a point where we're pretty knowledgeable. If there's anything that you've sort of thought that I missed or something like that, you can always email me, and I will answer any questions here. So let's go ahead and bring that overlay. You can email me at the bottom over here, the ring camera. You can email me right there. It seems right there. Anyway, if you need me, you can always email me questions there, and I'll answer them on air. Be aware that that is a receiving email only. I can't actually transmit from it, so you won't get an email back. But I will definitely communicate with you on air. So if you have any more questions or whatever, I am open for that. Please just ask. You can also write in this thread, but I don't know if I'll ever see it in the thread. And I see all the guys up here right now when they're talking during the show, but I don't see it later. So there we go. That's where we are with Clip Studio Paint. I'm actually going to break early today. I'm also going to break early tomorrow and the next day, and probably for the rest of the week we're going to have early shows. I've got family coming into town, and so we're going to be doing the family thing, and it's our only show. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the show, Donald. I certainly will be back tomorrow at 10, but it may only be from 10 to 11. So we're only going to have an hour's worth of show tomorrow because my sister will be here, and I'm going to go do things with my sister, which seems like a lot of fun. So we'll do that. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the show. I'll see you all tomorrow, and keep looking at the stars. Keep your eyes on the stars, my friends. Keep your eyes on the stars. And I'll see you tomorrow.